Hello everyone, I will discuss for today's is all about the Philippine science and technology personalities and their contribution. Whether it's tinkering with laser beams to slow down the speed of light, or studying mammals and researching on bad viruses for public health, Filipino scientists are relentlessly working to find ways to answer the world's most pressing questions and problems. Their efforts have been recognized in the Philippines and have sparked the interest of the world. Juan S. Salcedo, Jr., MD, Field of Specialization, Nutrition and Public Health. Dr. Juan Salcedo's developed enriched rice, a rice variety fortified with vitamin B1, which helps prevent beriberi. His discovery helped reduce the cases of beriberi in the Philippines and in other countries. A former Secretary of Health, Salcedo also became the chairman of the National Science Development Board in the 1960s. Through his efforts, a science community complex was built in Fort Bonifacio and a special funding system was created for technological research and development programs. Salcedo received several awards such as the Ramon Magsaysay Award for Public Health, Republic Heritage Award for Science, Pro Patria Award, and the rank of National Scientist. Alfredo C. Santos, Phil. Field of Specialization. Physical Chemistry. Born on August 15, 1900, Dr. Alfredo C. Santos was a Pinoy pioneer of phytochemistry and plant-based medicine. He studied a wide variety of Philippine medicinal plants, focusing on the alkaloids, naturally occurring organic compounds with basic nitrogen atoms. His vast body of work continues to guide today's researchers, students, and medical professionals in studying local medicinal plants. An accomplished academic in the fields of pharmacy and chemistry, he focused on phytochemistry, the study of chemicals derived from plants. He pioneered studies in the isolation and elucidation, or identifying the chemical structure, of chemical components from indigenous Philippine plants. In particular, he studied alkaloids, organic compounds that can be derived from plants and mostly contain basic nitrogen atoms. His findings showed that certain medicinal plants can address various health problems and symptoms, such as inflammation, high blood pressure, tuberculosis, gastric ulcer, dysentery, and diarrhea. Dr. Santos worked feverishly in finding cheaper natural alternatives to prohibitively expensive imported medicine. As a result, Dr. Santos had over 50 publications on pharmaceutical chemistry and related studies under his name, both in local and international academic journals. Gregorio Y. Zara, Field of Specialization. Engineering and Inventions. Was a Filipino engineer and physicist best remembered for inventing the first two-way video telephone. Zara's video telephone invention enabled the caller and recipient to see each other while conversing, laying the foundation for video conferencing. Zara was an outstanding student who graduated valedictorian in elementary and high school before obtaining a scholarship to study mechanical engineering at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. He went on to graduate with highest distinction in aeronautical engineering and physics from the University of Michigan and the University of Paris, respectively. Zara held 30 patents for devices and equipment. Other notable creations include an induction compass used by pilots for direction, a solar-powered water heater and an alcohol-fueled airplane engine. Zara also discovered a law of electrical kinetic resistance known as the Zara effect.
Fe del Mundo, MD. Fields of Specialization. Pediatrics. Dr. Fe del Mundo pioneered numerous innovations throughout her more than 70-year medical career. A committed humanitarian, Del Mundo dedicated her life to the health of the world's children. The first Asian woman admitted into Harvard, she pursued graduate degrees in America after receiving her medical degree from the University of the Philippines. She returned to the Philippines during World War II, and established a children's branch of a Japanese internment camp and directed the Manila Children's Hospital. Del Mundo revolutionized Philippine medicine, making major breakthroughs in immunization and in the treatment of jaundice, and providing healthcare to thousands of poor families. She is credited with studies that led to the invention of the incubator and a jaundice-relieving device. Her methods, like the brat diet for curing diarrhea, have spread throughout the world and saved millions. She was the president of the Medical Women's International Association, the first female president of the Philippine Pediatric Society, an honorary member of the American Pediatric Society, and a consultant of the World Health Organization. She has been honored with the Ramon Magsaysay Award for Public Service by a private citizen, and 15th International Congress of Pediatrics Award as Most Outstanding Pediatrician and Humanitarian. She died in 2011. Eduardo A. Quisumbing, Ph.D. Field of Specialization. Plant Taxonomy, Systematics, and Morphology. A foremost botanist, Dr. Quisumbing is pioneer in the study of Philippine medicinal plants where he made tremendous contribution. His book Medicinal Plants in Philippines is the forerunner of all researches on medicinal plants in the country. He was author of more than 129 scientific articles published here and abroad. While director of the National Museum, Dr. Quisumbing undertook restoration of the herbarium which was completely destroyed during the war. Geminiano T. de Ocampo, Ph.D. Field of specialization, ophthalmology. A man of great scientific ability, Dr. de Ocampo introduced corneal transplantation operation in the Philippines and, in 1956, designed an ophthalmologic instrument, the de Ocampo dissector, which was manufactured by an American company. He helped establish the Philippine Eye Bank in 1950 where he served as consultant. In 1951, he was made associate professor in UP and later became professor in ophthalmology at the UP PGH Medical Center, while serving as head of the ENT department. He was chairman of the first board of ophthalmology. He also served as consultant in ophthalmology of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. In 1952, he established the first eye hospital in the Philippines and, in 1958, founded the Philippine Ophthalmologic Society, serving as its president until 1964. As early as 1954 he was already known and acknowledged as the father of modern Philippine ophthalmology. Casimiro V. del Rosario, Ph.D. Field of specialization. Physics, astronomy, and meteorology. Dr. del Rosario's contributions to science are in physics, meteorology and astronomy. His work on soft X-rays which required high vacuum photography earned him recognition. He co-founded the Bartle Research Foundation in Philadelphia which undertook pioneering researches in nuclear physics. His researches on ultraviolet light of different wavelengths, on the effect of radioactive radiations on euglena, on the high-voltage electrical discharges in high vacuum, soft X-rays, and many others earned for himself and his country lasting honor and distinction. For 11 years Dr. del Rosario headed the Philippine Weather Bureau and was the first vice chairman of the National Science Development Board. Gregorio T. Velasquez, Ph.D. Field of specialization, phycology. Dr. Velasquez pioneered in Philippine phycology. He made the first intensive study of the local Myxophyceae or the blue-green algae and devoted at least 30 years of productive work in the study of Philippine algae from which he received local and international recognition. From laboratory assistant in the Department of Botany, University of the Philippines, he rose from the ranks until he became professor in botany in 1958. He was appointed emeritus professor when he retired in November 1967. Francisco M. Fronda, Ph.D. Field of specialization, animal husbandry. Having devoted over 6 decades of his life to teaching, research and extension services, Dr. Fronda contributed immensely to the development of poultry industry not only in the Philippines but in Asia region as well. In recognition of his pioneering contributions, he was cited as the father of poultry science in the Philippines by the Philippine Association of Animal Science, 1980, and father of Thai poultry industry, honor presented by Her Royal Highness, the Crown Princess of Thailand, 1982. Dr. Fronda has no less than 500 scientific articles of great value in the development of poultry and livestock industry. He also authored a textbook in poultry science production for students in agriculture and co-authored a series of books entitled, Let Us Raise Series, for secondary and elementary pupils. Francisco O. Santos, Ph.D. Field of specialization, human nutrition and agricultural chemistry. Born on June 3, 1892, national scientist Dr. Francisco O. Santos was a firm believer in nutrition's crucial role in Philippine society. He devoted his life to studying the nutritional value of Filipino food and the connection between social class and dietary patterns. He also initiated and led what is now known as the Food and Nutrition Research Institute. The progress of a country is largely dependent on the health and well-being of its citizens. This is what human nutritionist and agricultural chemist Dr. Francisco O. Santos believed. In the Philippines, where health issues associated with nutrient deficiency continue to persist, Dr. Santos' research in human nutrition and its related biochemical and socio-economic factors played a key role in our academic and national progress. Alfredo Anos Sr. Alfredo M. Anos Sr. is recognized as the godfather of Filipino inventors. He has made greater than 44 inventions and innovations that received multi-level recognition. Some inventions of him are Anos Fire Boat, Anos Fire Rescue, Portable Fire Pump, Boring Device, Life-Saving Blood, Plasma Sheller, Anti-Storm, Moderator, and the Variable Color Monolight. Anos invented the Anos fire truck called Patriot. It is fire truck of 3-in-1 package that can be simultaneously a fire truck, a rescue vehicle, and an ambulance. The firefighters and emergency workers are permitted by it to simultaneously extinguish fire by using compressed air foam system that is 5 to 7 times more effective than plain water, save people and animals, and give first aid treatment to the injured people. Besides, Anos invented the wind-powered generator that provides emergency and temporary source of power during brownouts. It is composed of built-in generator battery and fluorescent lamps that can be utilized in windy places. Dr. Carmen Velasquez is recognized in the American Men and Women of Science. She is known in the International Who's Who of Intellectuals and World Who's Who of Women and International Scholars directory because of her abundant discoveries. Dr. Carmen Velasquez finds out new genus of Philippine food species, birds and mammals. Eduardo San Juan. Dr. San Juan is a NASA engineer who designed the moon buggy that the Apollo astronauts used on the moon. He uses homemade materials for the moon buggy that was still chosen over those modern designs. Dr. Eduardo San Juan finished his degree from Mapua Institute of Technology. In 1971, the moon buggy was first used during the Apollo 12 landing to explore the moon. The lunar rover was a battery-powered, four-wheeled rover also used on the moon in the last 3 missions of the American Apollo program, 15, 16, and 17 during 1971 and 1972. The lunar rover was transported to the moon on the Apollo Lunar Module LM and, once unpacked on the surface, could carry 1 or 2 astronauts, their equipment, and lunar samples. The 3 LRVs remain on the moon. Eduardo San Juan graduated from Mapua Institute of Technology. He then studied nuclear engineering at the University of Washington. In 1978, San Juan received one of the 10 Outstanding Men Tom Awards in Science and Technology. On a personal note, Elizabeth San Juan, the proud daughter of Eduardo San Juan, had the following to say about her father. When my father submitted the conceptual design for the lunar rover, he submitted it via Brown Engineering, a company owned by Lady Bird Johnson. During the final test demonstration to select one design from various submissions, his was the only one that worked. Thus, his design won the NASA contract. His overall concept and design of the articulated wheel system was considered brilliant. Each wheel appendage was mounted not underneath the vehicle, but was placed outside the body of the vehicle, and each was motorized. Wheels could work independently of the others. It was designed to negotiate crater ingress and egress. The other vehicles did not make it into or out of the test crater. Our father, Eduardo San Juan, was a very positively charged creative who enjoyed a healthy sense of humor.